Hello, hello, hello. How much time is left? Six, five, four, three, two, one. Exactly. Oh, hey guys. Hope you're doing well. I am feeling slightly better now. I had the old cold, fluey rubbish that usually resurfaces once a year, and I've just been unable to speak properly for like the last week and a half. Just kind of, yeah. That, just not ideal when what you do is talk and teach for a living. But hey ho. I thought I'd do a quick stream today for two reasons, really. One, just to let you know that I am actually still alive, and yeah, I'm all good. And two, because I'm doing some work on some highlights and hair in particular, something that I find especially challenging. And I feel like this morning I've kind of cracked it. It's just clicked. And then I sort of looked at what I'd done and was like, yo, this is pretty good. I should probably share this with some people and let everyone know how to do it as someone who's kind of recently got better at it. So hopefully this goes well. If it doesn't, then well, whatever. Hopefully everyone in the chat can tell me how awful it looks and give me some pointers, and maybe I'll learn something as well. But yeah, so it's it's been pretty fun. It's been pretty fun playing around drawing hair. If I definitely recommend using a graphics tablet or a pen display. I'm using a pen display here. It just because you need that control over the pressure. A lot of styluses nowadays, they've got 4,000 to 8,000 levels of pressure, and you kind of really need that. You can do it with a mouse, but it's just harder. It's harder and it takes longer. Double voice. What does double voice mean? I mean, we'll just check. Is the audio good? Hopefully the audio is good. I don't like this photo. That's unfortunate. Mm. Good audio. Excellent. Yeah, so this is something I've just been playing around with, really. I kind of had this idea in my head that I wanted like this interior scene with some lighting, and I really wanted to work on practicing kind of adding lighting to a photo, but where the subject, a lot of them is kind of facing away from the light. So you kind of get those sort of rim lights, hair lights. You can see I've done a bit of work here around the shoulders, and particularly with skin tones as well. Sometimes it can just look really kind of muddy and really just a bit rubbish, really. And it's something that I find quite challenging is the highlights and the lighting, and so I've kind of been working on it. And I've actually found a really good use for Midjourney as well. Like I don't use it a lot, and I know like the whole AI image thing is very controversial in the design space. But one thing that I found very useful for practicing is if I just hide all these, is what I've been doing is I've been generating a subject or a person or an object or whatever on a plain background, which then gives me the chance to practice cutting them out with all the hair and everything, which, as you can see there, just did a not very great job. And then I generate a scene, and then I put the subject in the scene, and I have to kind of, I can add lights in the scene, as you can see here. And depending on the subject and the lighting and the scene I put them in, depends on how hard it is. And it's a really good way that I've found to practice just generating two different graphics, a subject or an object in a background, and then practicing my levels, curves, highlights, all that kind of stuff. And I'm finding it really helpful, actually. James says that's what I do. Yeah. Like I know the AI art thing's very controversial, but for practice it's absolutely brilliant because you can just, you can generate characters from video games. If it's a popular video game, like I did one recently for a character from Resident Evil, and it, it understands that, and yeah, it's pretty good. Will this live stream be available later? Maybe. We'll see. I do sound a bit horrible and sniffly, so please excuse the voice. But yeah, like I said, I was just working on this stuff, and I kind of had to share it because it's just kind of clicked this morning. And as I mentioned, like you can see around here, uh, so basically the way I did this, like obviously you can use channels to make selections of hair and things, but I did it the lazy way, which is just to go select subject, and then you get a cutout, and then with the mask selected, you go select a mask, and just click the refine hair button. So real as lazy as you can get. Sometimes that works really well. Here, it didn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to redraw some of the hair around here that's just been chipped away. And then once I've done that, then I'm going to add some highlights to the hair in relation to the light sources in the image. Yeah, so it's pretty, it can be challenging, but hopefully this is helpful. Sammy, oh, you sound nice. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's all right. Okay. We'll see what happens. It might get progressively worse. So just a quick run through of the layers and kind of how I got to that point. This one here, just a levels adjustment layer to kind of darken everything and sort of try and match the exposure between the subject and the background. Curves, just a slight tweak to the color. Another curves that kind of really darkens everything. So if I double click on that curves adjustment layer, this is literally just grabbing that right point and dragging it down. Obviously you can go you can go too far with this, and this is kind of the point where it does get quite challenging. And then this was a solid color adjustment layer with linear dodge as the blending mode, just to add a few subtle highlights around the shoulders, the ear, the arm, based on those light sources. And yeah, same again, but with some more pronounced highlights. And again, this is the kind of thing that probably does need a bit more work, but you can see just going from there to there does make quite a difference. And then this one here is also linear dodge, just a couple of bursts of light. Yeah, that makes a massive difference as well. So you kind of get the light spill over here around the side of the face, and that kind of light sort of bleeds onto the face, and then over here you get that sort of haze as well. So that's kind of where I got to. And if I just turn that one off for now, because I want that to affect the whole image, but I actually need to go and start by redrawing the hair, and there's a billion different ways that you can do this. But the way that I'm going to do it, what's the best way to do it? Do I do it here, or do I do it in the subject layer? James says, if you tell Midjourney background or texture for Photoshop, you can get it to make all kinds of backgrounds and textures. Ooh, interesting. Okay. How do you see which layers to add with different things for the adjustment? How do you see which layers to add? Or do you mean no? Because you can turn them on and off, and you can kind of see how each one affects the image. I think knowing which ones to use, it just comes from watching tutorials, I guess, or learning what each adjustment layer does. And once you understand what it does fundamentally, you can then choose. You have a problem, and you can select the right adjustment layer. But a lot of them are quite similar, so there is a lot of crossover. It's not just like a straightforward thing. But we'll do it here now. I've just made a new layer, and then I'm going to select white, grab the brush tool. I'd recommend some hair brushes. These are quite easy to create, but I'm going to use one here. And this is by Paravine on DeviantArt. So hang on, let me just link these here. So if you want to download these hair brushes and give them a go, I'll throw that link there. These are the ones I'm using anyway. And let's just bump up the flow. Yeah, so of course you can adjust the size here. And this is essentially what the brush looks like. It's those 3 different circles, and you can do that, of course. That's not hair. So let's just zoom in. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this really simply and just sample the darkest parts of the hair around the edge. And mostly I'm just adjusting the brush size with the left and right square brackets on the keyboard. I'm going to keep all of this at 100% for now. And just try and practice kind of just these sort of edges. Drawing in the hair as best I can, adding new hairs. And you want to keep adjusting the brush size as you work. So you get the thin strands just kind of coming off. And then you get some thicker ones as well. And I'm just pressing very lightly, because if I press too hard, you get that. That's the biggest problem. And you'll see this in a minute with the highlights. I was initially pressing way too hard and it was looking awful. And I was like, oh, why do they look so bad? And it definitely takes a bit of practice, kind of getting control. But I'm just going to add in a whole bunch of hairs. And you don't want to just do it at random like this. If you rush it and start brushing in like that, it will look awful. You really do have to be gentle, and it takes a bit of time and care. Unfortunately, there are no shortcuts here. That looks a bit rubbish. And if it looks rubbish, you just do it again. You just have your edit undo ready to go. Does that look a bit terrible? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where that ends up. And I could increase the brush size here, and we can sort of redraw some entire clumps. Clumps is probably the wrong word, but clusters of hair, and just do it really gently. Just try and rebuild this bit here. Yeah, the top's not too bad. This bit's a bit cut off. It's quite dark actually, so it's quite difficult to see. So what I could do actually, let's add a levels adjustment layer. We'll crank this up, just so I can kind of see what I'm doing. Oops. Yeah, so you can see the piece of hair missing here. This is where the kind of select subject thing didn't do a great job. It usually, or a lot of the time actually, it can do a pretty decent job in one click. So just brushing down. And it's good to try and follow the contours of the hair as well. There we go, make it nice and small. And down here, we'll just bring that down. I think the subject is lacking depth due to the lack of white sprites. The skin, eyes, and mouth is quite flat. Yeah, so that's something that I'm still working on. Obviously, when you go from this, and with the subject being lit from this side here, so the lighting on this image is kind of coming from there, whereas actually in the scene I've put her in, it's behind. So it is much easier. It's 1,000 times easier if you can pick two images where the light kind of complements each other. So when I generated this image of the subject, what I should have done is generated one that had the light coming from behind. It would have just made my life 1,000 times easier. And if you were doing this with stock imagery or photography, typically you would select or photograph the light coming from the right direction to start with. So here I've kind of really stacked the deck against myself by working with an image where the light is initially coming from the wrong direction. So I have to try and retrofit it into the scene. But it's good practice. It's not impossible, and it is good practice. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Thomas, in that, you know, I would need to kind of, yeah, brush in some shadows here and create more depth. This part of the face here, as you say, is especially flat. I've got my son here as well. He's learning Adobe Illustrator, aren't you?
Yes.
You're getting a crash course in Illustrator.
And I'm also very stuck.
What are you stuck with?
I accidentally zoomed in too much.
You've zoomed in too much. Okay.
What?
Let's just zoom you out.
Is that how you zoom out?
Oh, you really have zoomed in too much. There you go.
It was not easy.
Okay. Mike, hello. Welcome. DeviantArt does still exist. It does, Sammy. All right. So I'm not going to spend too long on this hair because we will be going over a lot of this. A lot of this doesn't look great anyway, but a lot of this hair is going to be covered up with the highlights anyway, because it's kind of this entire area is kind of being hit by this light source. So I'm going to redraw that. Same over here. This light source is kind of hitting this part. So a lot of those hairs are going to be redrawn. And I mean, yeah, it worked about an hour ago and it came out pretty well. So we'll try and get it looking good again. Yeah, I could spend ages doing this, but I'm not going to spend too long. Yeah, just maybe a few more, just fill in. And obviously I'm doing this quite quickly, but the secret sauce is to really just take your time with it. You don't want to rush it. And if you do find that you're pressing down too hard and you're getting like these hard lines and you just can't go light, like I get it, it's fine. Just drop the flow down up here. I will do that a little bit later with the highlights and I'll show you kind of how I use it. There we go, that's fine. Nice, we've got a few hairs, we'll have a few strays, just waving off. There we go. Nice. And you could draw in different colors as well if you wanted to. You know, we could go lighter, pick a lighter brown and just draw in a few other colors. But yeah, I'm not going to spend too long doing that because we are going to add some highlights. So let's just look at before and after. It needs work, but it's still an improvement over that. She's got more hair now. So let's add another layer. This time we're going to use the same brush, but we're going to go with white as the color. Let's hide that adjustment layer. There we go. This is what we're working with. And I'm going to start with white because it's easier to kind of see where the highlights are, and I can change the color anyway. So let's give this a go. Just remember, if you press too hard, you're going to get that. So we're just going to start very, very light to start with. We're just going to follow the contours of the hair. Some of these other existing hairs that I've just added. We're just going to start to brush in these highlights. Lots of strands. And remember to try and vary the size as well. I do still have a habit of pressing way too hard here. There we go. So we're just going to have the light hitting these hairs. This one down here. We'll have a few little strays just kind of coming off of that one. It's really difficult. You have to just press so lightly. It's definitely going to take a bit of getting used to, I think. And this, like I said, this is really the kind of thing that you can totally rush this and it will just look absolutely awful. So I've got my kind of left hand hovering over the Command Z undo shortcut just because There's so many times I'll do that by mistake, and then and if you can either use a reference image, or because I've got actual hair in here, I can just see just about. It's quite dark, but I can sort of see where the contours are. And you know, I don't want to have the hair flowing that way. I want to kind of follow the sort of natural flow of the hair. Have these strays coming off. If I just brush this in, there we go. So the light's going to come this direction, and it's not really going to reach this part in the same way. So maybe these ones here, these might be a little bit brighter. So let's just press a little bit harder on the pen display there. Just make some of those a little bit more pronounced. A few strays just coming off there. Just flicking up. And you can press R as the shortcut to rotate the canvas as well. Kind of rotate it in a way. I mean, it feels much more natural, at least for me, going up to down rather than kind of trying to draw left to right. So you can just rotate the artboard or the canvas to kind of suit what feels more comfortable, because it just makes it easier to get those super smooth curves then. There we go. And if anyone's watching and you kind of see me doing something catastrophically wrong or making my life unnecessarily difficult, please do give me some tips. Hey Dan, new haircut. I do indeed have a new haircut, yeah. Poppy's not sure. She's not sure. She thinks the fade's like a little bit too high. But I don't know. What do you think? Is it a yay or a nay with the haircut? Yeah, we're just coming down here. Honestly, guys, if you had a go at this before drawing hair and you found it difficult and you got stuck, just stick. Well, if you're not using a graphics tablet, definitely get one. But honestly, just if you are, just stick with it. Just take it from someone who's kind of been working on it a lot recently, and it's starting to click. It's starting to click. Just take it from me. You know, it does get easier the more you do it. What are you giggling about? What on earth is that? What have you done?
Corrupted Amazon.
You've corrupted Amazon. Is that even possible?
Of course it is.
Looks all right, but I agree with Poppy. A bit too high. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Have to get it done shorter next time, I think. Right, so you can see here I've got this light behind. This is going to spill over all the way onto the hair everywhere. So we're just going to add loads of these highlights here. And I'm just building these up as well. We're not kind of charging in head first, doing the you know, making everything super bright. So you can see here just a before and an after. It's starting to make a difference. You know, I know there's some people that are just absolute, you know, god tier at this kind of stuff. I'm not there yet. So hopefully if you're new to this and you're sort of trying to learn it like me, hopefully this stream is at least a bit encouraging, you know. We're in the same boat. Yeah, I'll need to make that look a bit better as well. In fact, what I could even do is we'll go and add some more hair there. I think this this bit's kind of suffering from that sort of bad cutout. We need a few more strands of hair. So just drawing those in with the brown. There we go. Could have a hair just coming onto the face, maybe. We'll just have one. There we go. We could add a few more strays there. Oh, I don't know. I think I might have made that worse, actually. And that's something that's really important, is varying the thickness as well. You want to really kind of change up the thickness of the brush. Yeah, so that needs a bit of work, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Did you complete the 60-day challenge from the 5 a.m. club? No, we haven't done the 60 days yet. We've had a couple of good stints, but we definitely need to get back to it. We did start it again recently, and we were doing really well, and then both of us got this cold, sore throat rubbish, and it's sort of derailed that. It is amazing, though, getting up early at like 5 a.m. and just the amount of time it creates in a day. Right, now I'm going to start pressing down a bit harder now. I really want to kind of build on these highlights. I'm kind of going over the ones I've already done. And I will change the color of these later. They will go to like a yellowy orange and they'll look delicious. So you can start with color, but for me personally, it's just easier to kind of go in with the white and then change the color after to whatever I need it to be. So make these a bit more pronounced. Nice, there we go. A few little light strays. Just get those kind of nice little S-curve wavy hairs coming in. Nice. One, bit more there. And if you're not sure about how the hair should look, you could definitely have the original without the hair cut out as a reference, or you can just use another reference image. Probably not a bad shout. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop the flow down nice and low, bump up the size of the brush, and I can use this to now kind of brush in some more kind of subtle highlights. So when they're not as kind of hard, they're kind of coming in from the edge. Again, you can see I'm sort of following the contours of the hair. Just brushing these in. So there is a little bit of light reaching these, but not as much as the main highlights. I've got a much bigger brush now. Just to brush that in. And again, we're going to mix up the size. And you can see this is just creating like a lot more texture rather than just having like a block of black hair. We're just getting those, and that's where these brushes are really good, because they draw multiple strands of hair at the same time. So you kind of, if you look between them, you get the light, dark, kind of, that's how it works. And that pack of brushes does have some other hairs in there as well. And actually now we've got like a really low flow. It makes it very easy to kind of just draw a few like extra little strands coming off. There we go. Look at those strands. This hair's gone a bit wild actually. Let's just keep doing that. Strand, strand, strand. Go there. And then we'll go on this side. We'll do a bit over here as well. Hello, Jidan. Welcome. Here we go. Nice. Not too bad. Let's have a look. Let's turn it all off. We've gone from that to that. I think it's fair to say that that is at least an improvement. That base layer probably needed to be a bit better. But then the highlights we've got there, which looks pretty nice. And if they're a bit more pronounced, too pronounced, we can always just like, run them around with the eraser tool like this. So I can kind of just go around and just soften some of these up, kind of localize them more to the edge. There we go. That's probably a bit better. Just in case I get a bit too carried away. And I'll duplicate this now just to kind of show you what you can do with it. So you can let's go hue and saturation. We're going to go colorize, and the light is kind of like a yellowy orange. So let's pick that on the hue slider, crank up the saturation. Obviously that does nothing until we drag the lightness down. And now we can kind of see the color. And now we want to just make it not green. Let's go for like this sort of color. It kind of matches the light source. And you can play around with the saturation. I'm going to keep mine up. And you want to sort of find a balance on the lightness slider as well. So maybe something like that. You can see going from white to the yellowy color looks pretty good. And something else we can do as well, just to kind of give it like some more dramatic color, like the lights in the background, is duplicate that layer. You can see that you can make it more pronounced that way. That's a quick win. But also you can change the blending mode to something like, let's go for color dodge. And we'll adjust the hue saturation and make it more sort of reddish. So we've got like a red one and a yellow one. And we're blending this with a color dodge. So you kind of get this really nice sort of dramatic, kind of fiery sort of highlight color. Just from blending the red and the yellow with a color dodge. Yeah, nice. Tanvir, hello. Zach, Dan is a hair specialist. I'm really not, but that's very kind of you. We're getting there, though. I'm going to keep working on this. Yeah, we'll go back to the white for now. Because that's one of the things you can do in oh, nice. I like that. Star with a smiley face. Yeah, that's one thing you can definitely do in Photoshop is you can start getting carried away with the effects and the colors and the blends, and it can just end up worse. It's better, I think, to take care of the fundamentals and just have them looking as good as they can be first before getting too carried away. All right, we've got to just brush in some. We need some more hair now. There we go. Just going for that kind of S curve. can use that bigger brush to sort of thicken it up as well. As you can see, it definitely takes some practice. There we go, just having a couple of strays flying all over the place. Definitely got some wild hair going on here. There we go, make that a bit less smooth. There is another technique actually that is definitely worth showing. Let me just let's slap down a grey layer. I like to work against grey sometimes because it just, you know, there's no background distraction and I can really see if my hair is good or terrible. So something else we can use is, where are you? Smudge tool. Crank up the strength to like high 90s. And this is great because you can literally click and drag. And with the smudge tool, as you sort of get towards the edge of the longer you drag the hair, it's smudging the existing pixels. So even if I press as hard as I can and drag all the way out, it's going to end up kind of fading out naturally. So the hair I smudge like here is going to start dark and then fade out. So it's always going to fade out, which is great because now look, I don't have to worry about pen pressure because what I'm doing is always fading out. So rather than drawing hair, I'm just taking that existing kind of dark black brown mess of hair and I'm essentially just smudging it. Now you don't want to kind of smudge in because then you'll kind of muck your hair up. So where you you really want to focus on just getting the end sort of strands. That is amazing. That is amazing. That's fantastic. So you can see here, look at this, you know, this big kind of black thick hair just looks really fake and unnatural. And I can easily just kind of have those strands just coming off by smudging it, especially down here as well. And the thing is, like I said, you know, even if you're like me and you're sort of not great at this and you're still practicing, you know, I could sit here and just keep working on this for like an hour and I'm confident, but by the end of that hour, it'll look pretty decent.
What's happened?
Again. Oh, where have you gone?
It's just gone black.
Oh, you got lost over there.
Oh.
There you go. These hairs are looking a bit terrible, so I'm just going to use a feathered eraser brush just to kind of fade them out a little bit. I could probably do that over here actually, just give it a pass around the edge. Just some of these just they fade out. You can see there, you got to be careful with that smudge tool. So the thinner hairs, these thinner strands, I'm just making sure that they definitely do fade out nicely towards the end. End. Yeah, I can't speak. There we go. Yeah, these ones look a bit weird. Those big ones. That's part of the image, I think. So could actually get rid of that or thin them out like this. Yeah, let's do that. Let's try and make them a wee bit more realistic. Nice. That's better. What are you doing? Says Satish. Just kind of drawing in hair and highlights. And really trying to get some practice in. Because it can be very challenging. Let's try something else as well. I wonder if I could blur this. Oops. Oh no, Gaussian blur, that's what I want. Yeah, maybe just a tiny bit of blur. You see they're quite sort of pin sharp, some of those hairs. Maybe a 0.4. 0.3. Yeah, let's have a look at that. Subtle, but that could make a difference. Yeah, with the light highlights on as well. That looks so much better with the highlights. Yeah, let's go through and add some more of those. Make it super dramatic. Yeah, add a few more here. And just remember that these whites, we're brushing them in white at the moment, but they will be like orangey color. They will reflect the glow from the light in the scene. So just try and imagine them being orange. So the ones kind of right out on the edge here, we want those to be like bright orange. They're like fully illuminated, shall we say. And what have we got here? We got some hair on the back of the neck. That would be illuminated. So let's just add a few of them. Those kind of white ones there. Nice. That could look pretty cool. Yeah, let's get some more around here. And we can use a thicker brush. Let's try and just brush in some more. So you can see there, by changing the size of the brush, you can really kind of create something that looks a lot more realistic. Nice. Yeah, so it's mostly just playing around with the brush tool, using that hairbrush. There's a few different ones down here. We could play around with some other ones. Let's grab one here that's a bit more detailed. We've got lots of different strands of hair. So we could perhaps do more. This might be better suited to this bit. In fact, actually, I'm going to work on a new layer now. I might add some more hair and then sort of blur it out a little bit. So you can see here I am following the contours of the hair. Sometimes it takes a few goes to get it. There we go, coming down there. And we're just adding all that detail. This was just a black blob before. And so we're now brushing in those real subtle hairs that are kind of tucked away where the light isn't quite reaching them, but it is just about. And is this helpful at all? Hopefully this is helpful, but if it's good or terrible, just honestly let me know in the chat. Hopefully it's helpful though. Could brush in a few more sort of hard highlights, bits that are kind of especially illuminated. Is that a crazy golf course?
No, it's the whole danger.
The whole of danger? Oh, wow. That sounds terrifying. Right, where's my music gone? Remember that light source is over here, so it's kind of hitting this part of the face. There we go. It makes it a bit easier now to see exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, okay, let's get rid of that. We've got part of the original image as well. So let's smooth around the chin. Yeah, this is where the cutout has struggled a bit. So let's go around the edge of the face a bit more. There we go. Oh, we might have to draw some eyelashes as well, actually. There we go. So we're brushing away the original image. Ah, that looks better. Yeah. Now let's go back to the black layer. So I'll call this dark. I'll go with light hair 1. I've got light hair 2. Let's brush in some kind of medium brown hairs. Eyelashes? Yeah, why not? Let's brush some of those in as well. There we go. That's not too difficult. Let's go back to this one, I think. So when you want these long strands, using a really tiny thin brush is definitely the way you want to go. Unfortunately, she's not real. She is generated with AI, which is terrifying. When you look at what Midjourney can actually do now, I think it's fair to say that the human race as we know it is probably we're probably doomed, aren't we? We are going to create Skynet. It's going to happen. I mean, when I was generating this, I was going for more like I wanted more vampire. That was the kind of inspiration behind it. It was something a bit more dark, but that was the goal. But then the sort of composition of this image and just the sort of the pose, the way she's kind of got her shoulders exposed, that was a really good opportunity for me to practice lighting on skin. Um, and just the angles and everything. It was like I saw this image and I was like, yeah, this is going to be a challenge, and that is the whole point of this, is to challenge myself. You know, if I make it easy, I learn nothing. I mean, you know, when I look at where I started doing this with the lighting and everything last night, it was awful. It was so bad. So yeah, even this, as much as it needs work, it's definitely progress. Trust me, there is some progress. It would make my life a lot easier if I had a reference image, though. Let's do like a lighter color for the layer. Let's go like a medium layer. Zamio, hey, what's up, Dan? Not much, just drawing hair on a Friday. How are you? There you go. So you can see there that that lighter brown kind of blends quite nicely with the original image. So let's get some more detail in there. The highlights there on the light layer, that's fine. They're not going anywhere. But let's work on the hair itself without those highlights. All it's going to do is just make everything feel much more realistic. There we go. Yeah, so that's the easiest thing, is just to draw over the hair. It's already there. Yeah, getting better. Is there anything anyone can see that is glaringly obviously terrible? And don't say all of it. Don't say all of it. Anyone who's like very, 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 very good at drawing hair, or even a digital artist. I'm not a digital artist, as you can probably tell. And that's why I'm trying to practice a lot of these kind of techniques, because I think that's my lack of experience with kind of drawing definitely sort of somewhat limits my creative work. So I'm definitely trying to get just a little bit more experience. Remember, if you're pressing too hard and it's just looking like that, or even like this, these brushes aren't meant to be used like this. You're meant to brush in, press really lightly on the pen display. And it definitely takes some practice to kind of find that sort of balance. There we go. So that's that medium layer. Yeah, that makes a difference as well. And then with the highlights as well. My goodness. That's insane. I mean, look at this. This is where we started, and this is where it is now. It does look sort of very more cartoony, illustrated. But I think once we sort of put the yellow in, I think we can blend that a bit more to look a bit more realistic. It's looking pretty cool, though. Can you give a suggestion regarding how to become a symmetrically professional logo designer? Yeah, use basic shapes. Use the repeat symmetry mode in Illustrator. Use the right tools as well. I mean, if you want to... Hang on, let me just open up Illustrator. I'll show you. You gonna draw something else? I love that cat. That's amazing. Yeah, a big part of designing or getting better at designing with Illustrator is using the right tool for the right job. And I think, you know, if you've joined the streams where we do design review, hey Arnett, welcome. That's something I critique quite a lot. Is I can see where people have used the wrong tool to do something, and when you use the right tool, you increase the chance that what you create looks good exponentially. So here we go. I've got a square object, repeat and mirror. If you want symmetry, man, this is how to do it. So you can adjust the position or the angle and the position. And let's get rid of that square now. We don't need that. And, you know, so this is great. You can design your logo in real time now. So, you know, I'm not using pen tools or anything. I'm just literally just using basic shapes. Such an underrated technique, you know. Whereas a lot of people would draw that with the pen tool. And it's like, nah, don't do that. Yeah. You get much nicer curves this way. So yeah, if you want to do symmetrical logo design, this is how you do it. Bull Cheng, hey, Naga, hi sir, hello. Sir Ucher. I said that with real Somerset then. Ucher, we're watching some guy brush a woman's hair. Howdy. Howdy indeed, I love it. Howdy. We are, yes, some guy, some random ginger. Yeah, I mean, this is what we've done so far. As you can see, you know, Photoshop did a terrible cutout there. And the thing with this generation as well, this is a mid-journey image. The thing with this generation as well is the hair wasn't all in focus. So we had a lot of out of focus hair and in focus hair, which is, it makes it harder because when you're brushing in the hair, you then have to brush in some hair in focus, and then you've got to brush in some hair further back out of focus. Or you just brush over all of it. Yeah, of course. Or you just brush over all of it. So cute. Can I go to the toilet? No, you can't go to the toilet. You sit there. That's my eldest son, for anyone who's just joined the stream. He's alongside me learning Illustrator. You will learn Illustrator, boy. Yeah, this hair here just looks a bit gangly. I don't know what It looks a bit too thin and strandy. I don't know if I need to thicken it up a bit. Ooh, not like that. I don't know. Can anyone any suggestions? I don't know. Maybe it just needs a bit more volume. I don't know. We're getting into proper hair territory now. Hmm. Do you know what I mean? Actually, oh no, 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 no. Let's try another brush. There is another brush here. This one, yes. Look at that. That's got some volume. Let's try that. I've got a few. Oh, that could be the bottom. I've got a few. Yeah. Do you know that could be it? That could be it. Hmm. All right, let's switch back to the brown. We'll try and. Yeah, this is hard. This is hard. Although every time I do something like this, I think that's a trick as well. Is varying the thickness. I think I made them all too thin. But every time I do something like this is definitely outside my comfort zone. I feel like a little XP bar kind of going up. Like I'm leveling up, you know? Hmm. It just doesn't look natural on the bottom edge. Put a monocle. Don't tempt me. I have to generate one. James Victor, I hope you're healthy. Hey James, yeah, I'm good, thank you. Might sound a bit stuffy, but I'm okay. Say what?
Gonna have a little break and do my home.
Okay. Oh, I don't know what is it? There's something about this hair on the right. I don't know. Maybe it needs more of that. It's so hard to know. Maybe we need a few hairs just. No. No, that hair's behind. It wouldn't be coming in front, would it? No, that wouldn't make sense. Ah, that's it. Right, I got it. I got it. I think I need a few more pronounced ones. Everything was just a bit same sort of length. I needed a few just slightly longer hairs. Yeah, that could. That's definitely better, I think. Ah, I'm gonna have to redo some of these highlights, aren't I? Because I've changed the hair. So we'll have to go in and just fix some of these. Honestly, it does look a little AI-ish. Yeah, the images. The image, and for anyone who's just joined, the image and the background that I'm working on, they're both AI generated. And the main goal with that is because it's just really good practice. It's a slightly better way of, I'll say better, a more favorable way of using Midjourney. At least I can practice, I can generate an object or a subject and a random background, and uh, I can generate light sources in there and then practice trying to combine the two images. That's the biggest thing I see with compositing. So many people, especially some of the ones that have submitted work for review on the channel, amazing ideas, but the execution sometimes is like flawed, or they've used the wrong technique, or the lighting isn't kind of blended well enough. And I think it's actually the fundamentals of, like, if you want to get better at compositing and photo manipulation, just practice one subject, one background, and just practice that over and over again. Different subject, different background. Add a light in the background, change the lighting on the subject, and just practice getting the fundamentals. Because if the way I see it, if you can't combine two images together and respect the fundamentals, and have that kind of that taken care of in your work, when you start adding 5, 6, 7 images and creating these crazy complex scenes, the fundamentals won't be right, and you might fall into the trap that I did before of just using blending modes and other funky techniques to try and fix it, and it doesn't fix it. It just makes your document full of adjustment layers where you're trying to fix stuff. Whereas in actual fact, if I hide all this, the fundamentals for correcting exposure and balancing colors can be done with 2 layers. Real subtle here. And then you can use one more to darken an image. And in the past, I've done that with like exposure layers, levels, curves, brightness, contrast. And I keep adding layers to try and fix problems that should have been taken care of in a much easier way, Oh, I love doing this. Before, after. It's not bad. It's really not bad. For me, anyway. Rain, hi, Dan. Hello. Right. Okay. Got light 1 and light 2. Let's combine them together. It's all the same thing, really. That chin was twisted. I think that's not an unrealistic pose. She's obviously just got, good neck mobility. I don't. I can't turn my neck that far. But yeah, I think she's good. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that in case I muck it up. So this is going to be the backup folder in case everything goes wrong. There we go. We'll keep that there. And what are we going to do? Yeah, so medium and dark. We've got light and dark hairs. That's fine. And the light hair, again, hue saturation, colorize, bump that up. And we're going to go for a yellowy color. I will need my lights back, actually. So there we go, the actual scene. So this light here is very, very yellow. Whoa, whoops. But it's also got orange and it's very warm. And I love that kind of contrast. So to mimic that, again, we're going to duplicate our yellow layer. These are our lighter highlights. And we're going to make that red, which looks cool. Very kind of cartoony. But then we're going to blend that together. There we go. Color dodge. We'll go with that one. We'll blend. I'm going to call that red and yellow. So we've got the yellow one. We've got the red one. Blend them together with color dodge. And we get that same kind of dramatic contrast. It's quite punchy at the moment, but we can always drop that and make it a bit more subtle to make it more realistic. And you can see here, this doesn't look great. I wonder if my light will... Yeah, it looks better there where I've got the lights. So I've kind of just turned those off to work on it. Yeah, that looks a bit awful because, and that looks awful because I've got dark hair in front of the light and that wouldn't be there. Let's try. Yeah. Right. Okay. How can I do this? Can I dodge that? Let's have a go. I need to make the dark hairs light. Let's see if this works. Might be working. I might have dodged that a bit too much. All right. Let's try something else. Yeah, I need to get those dark ones lighter. So let's try and make a selection of all the dark hair that's near the light and nope. Okay. Ah, that's better. There we go. There we go. So you can see it's now a lot lighter. There we go. Let's brush some of them away. So the hair that's in front of the light just shouldn't be dark. That light would be kind of blowing that color all the way out. Something like that. So maybe I need to draw some other hairs there. Okay. Yeah, it's tricky. I'm switching between the hair layers I've brushed in and the original image now. Yeah, could look worse. You kind of hide it a bit more with the sort of lens flare. I don't know if there's a reflection. The eye does look a little bit off slightly, though. What is the secret to master photo manipulation? Um, yeah, fundamentals. Definitely get the fundamentals right. So when you have your subject like this, you know, using levels, curves, and solid color fills for highlights and various things. Yeah, I mean, the hair here looks, it's a bit too punchy. But if I group it and call it hair, we can easily, oh, here, we could dial that down. So let's go for like maybe 60, 50, 60. Yeah, this is the hardest bit, is kind of trying to sort of redo the lighting. Because if I just darken this down, it doesn't look too bad. Well, actually, it's not too bad. But yeah, as someone said earlier, the face is still quite flat. I mean, the hair looks quite cool there when you're sort of fully silhouetted. You can see all the sort of highlights I've kind of put in. But what I might do sometimes is I'll kind of bring this down and then we'll go and add another curves adjustment layer. And then I'll use this for even more shadows. And then I might bring that down there in the midtones slightly. We'll hide that. But this is where this is the kind of point where it gets really difficult. Because, like I mentioned earlier, you know, the light in the original image is coming from over here. It totally does not match the scene, but it's better because it's more practice for me. If I generated an image of a subject with kind of light coming from behind and all the hair and the shoulders were illuminated already, that's done all the work for me. I learn nothing. So that's why this is good practice. So now I can try and brush in some shadows. I've got to think, okay, where is the light going to hit? Where is it not going to hit? Maybe right down there. Maybe this part of the arm. That would be a kind of a bit darker. This little kind of part by the armpit here, perhaps. A little bit. Yeah, this is where it gets tough. Whereabouts on the face is not going to be affected by the light? Probably up there. Yeah, it's really difficult because you can see it can end up looking a bit sort of a bit murky. Hmm. Exactly. Yeah. It's just, yeah. Like right now, I can tell you something's off, but it's trying to figure out what it is. And I think a lot of it is because my brain is knows that something's off with the lighting, but it's trying to figure it out. Hmm. There we go. So I could bring that up and introduce a bit more red from the light into the shadows. Yeah, see, blending modes. Not going to help us too much here. You can feather it, so if the lines are kind of too harsh and pronounced, we could drag up the feathering. Yeah, it just looks... Yeah. You see what I mean? Like the color here just looks grey. It just looks murky. Some of these blending modes are wild. So it's making it kind of feel less grey. That feels better. Is that different to normal? Yeah, that feels better actually. Like it has more contrast. Is it just me, or is that an improvement? Switching to multiply on the curves there. Yeah, I'm not sure about that second one. I think I need a bit more spillover light. So we'll go really low on the flow. Maybe 10. Yeah, she was meant to be a vampire. Like it kind of it was meant to be a bit darker and sinister. I did have an image that kind of inspired it, but instead of being like vampiric and a bit more sinister, she kind of came out a bit more sort of alluring and mysterious, which kind of wasn't really what I was going for. But like I say, she just had the right sort of angle and the hair as well. That was a good opportunity for me to kind of go, okay, this is terrible. I could try and make this better. Would you say a little bit of physics is needed for judging where to put the shadows and highlights of the light bouncing off the subject to make it look realistic? Yeah, in terms of if you've got experience in 3D, like I've got a little bit, which has helped, but not like a ton. If you understand 3D, or if you've just you're good at drawing and you study lighting and character art, it's going to give you a massive advantage when it comes to doing this sort of stuff. Because I think whether you're drawing like characters or if you're doing 3D, you kind of doing 3D, you do learn a lot about lighting. Ooh, I could go around and sort of, yeah, let's light up some of this hair. Nice. Oh yeah, that makes a difference. Look at that. Ho ho. Nice. Probably a bit much. Let's save that for a few of those edge hairs. Yeah. Boom. Ooh, blah, 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 blah. What are we thinking about the skin tones and the sort of the shadows? Honestly, even if you don't like Midjourney and AI stuff, this is a really good way to just generate images and practice. Generate a scene with kind of some lights in it, and then stick a subject in there, and just try your best to color correct the subject and then light it properly. Such good practice. I feel like in the last 24 to 48 hours, I've really leveled up my, you know, photo manipulation skills, and I wouldn't have done that otherwise. All right, she's too dark now. Ah, there we go. Leave a bit of that detail in. I'm back home now. I watch this stream. Oh, awesome. Hang on. I got to show you where I started. Where are you? I have to. This is looking better than I thought it would turn out. I got to show you where I started, right? Yesterday. This is an example, right, of where it can go very, very wrong. And you see, like, look at this. I got all these adjustment layers, way too many. And I've actually used less here. And we've gone from that to that in 24 hours. Is it perfect? No. If I keep working on it, will it get better? Absolutely. But that's a pretty insane difference. And I'm going to go through this file because I made so many mistakes. Yeah. So I didn't need to darken the background. Subject. Yeah. That's where the levels and the curves there were correct, first of all, but I tried to then, after I'd added a ton of adjustment layers, I did exactly what I said earlier. I tried to go back and fix it, and I just mucked it up, basically. Gradient map, then curves to darken it more, darken it way too much. So now all the detail and the highlights and the midtones have been basically lost from the image. Then I started to try and put exposure back in on top of like stripping out all the color first. What a mess. And then I added another exposure layer to try and fix the mess. And as you can see, it's just it's an absolute disaster. And this is what I have done a lot. And as you can see, I still do sometimes. You just keep adding adjustment layers to try and fix it. Like putting plasters on a wound, but you're just trying to fix it and it ain't working. Whereas this, it's actually got fewer adjustment layers, but they're used more correctly. Maybe not that one. We'll get rid of that one. Kaus, man, I'm here just to say thank you for your videos. As someone who learns design by watching YouTube and your vids, finally I get my dream job. Thank you once again and good luck. Oh, amazing. You're very welcome. That is great to hear as well. James, also if vampire makes the lipstick more red to make it look like blood. Yes, that's true actually. We could. Anyway, I just had to show you that one. Yeah, we could add some more lipstick and blood and stuff. And actually, if she's a vampire, does the skin need to be like fully desaturated? I don't know. Yeah. And again, you can see here, this looks a lot better once I turn the lights on. But I should really get this retouching looking better without the lights. I shouldn't be dependent on an effect to fix my bad retouching. So it's good to kind of build the layers up from the ground up so they work. Otherwise, you end up in doing exactly what I said, in that you keep adding adjustment layers to try and fix problems. You got to get rid of them all, go back to the root problem. Where did things go wrong? It's like too much butter in the cake. Yeah, I suppose that's an interesting metaphor. A lot. You put too much butter in the cake, and then you have to try and fix it, and you keep adding more stuff and more stuff and more stuff, and it doesn't actually make it better. I wonder. Like for me, it's like I've got all this sort of knowledge of Photoshop, and it's just trying to figure out what's going to produce the best result. It's almost like a bit of a game. Whoa. Oof. That's terrifying. Hmm. It's that murkiness. Can you see what I mean? It's like a grey. I like try and eyedropper a tool that. Yeah, you see over here, look, it's proper grey. It's lost the sort of warmth of the skin, and it's desaturated it. And I thought, oh, I could change this to luminosity so it doesn't mess around with the color, but it actually makes it worse. Yeah, I just need to get the color back in there. Why, hello there. Hello, Poppy. Nice of you to join us. Oh, come on down. How can I get the color back into that area? Or what have I done to remove the color? Is there a setting with this curves adjustment layer that could bring... Ooh, there we go. Okay, hang on. Let's try. I know I'm adding another adjustment layer, but let's just try adding one just for the red. Then we'll hide that. Oh, is this gonna work? Or am I doing the thing I said don't do? We'll see. Can I then brush in some red and color back into the area that's just lost it? Is this gonna work? Maybe just sort of over the skin tones. I mean, it's getting rid of that grayness, and it's not buggering up the rest of the image, I think. Does that work? I don't know if I've made it too red now. Green. Let's try the green. I could probably use that to... Well, it definitely gets rid of the grayness. Oh. God, hard. So hard. I don't know if I need to bring the midtones down a bit. No, that's too much. Maybe a color mask. What are you thinking, a lot? Like a solid color adjustment layer? I don't know if this curves adjustment layer is the problem. Like I've used it and it's made quite a drastic change by bringing it down on the right. But I don't know if that's... Because essentially what I'm doing is I'm completely redirecting the lighting. You know, the lighting here is illuminating the face and the arm, and I actually want to flip it round the other way. Yeah, and this is where you get into the territory of just scrolling blending modes and trying to fix it. And I gotta be careful. Yes, yes, maybe. Okay. Let's give it a go. We'll give it a go. Nothing to lose, eh? Solid color. Yeah, that. Oh, overlay or multiply. Let's have a look. Maybe multiply because it kind of maintains the sort of darkness. Bit more orange. Yeah, maybe. Could be onto something there. Now let's brush away the bits that are kind of lighter. Yeah, okay. Let's desaturate it a bit. Yeah, I think that's worked. Has it saturated her too much? Do I need to then? Maybe I should bring the vibrance down. Don't know. Yeah, again, getting into territory of using too many adjustment layers, so I've got to be careful. Yeah, maybe both of these actually, going from that to that. Maybe both of them at like 40%. It's still a difference, you know? She looks identical to a girl I went to school with. It's creepy. Mustard orange could work. All right, let's give it a go. Yeah. Mustard. Yeah, okay. Subtle. Yeah, we'll stick with the mustard. Oh yeah, I forget I turned the lights off as well. I mean, I think that is an improvement. I know I said before it's good to work on it without all the lighting. You don't want to become dependent on visual effects and adjustment layers and fog and particles. You don't want to use that as a substitute for good retouching. Got to get the retouching right first. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I know it might need some more work, but going from that to that with 3 adjustment layers, that's insane. And then we got those glare lights. Make that one even punchier. Bit more drama. The AI is stealing pics from Poppy's yearbook. Yeah, probably. Design Dynamo, hello, welcome. What we thinking? Anything standing out as still not right? I've been looking at this for too long, I think. Anyone who's just joined the stream, fresh set of eyes, go for it. What do you think? How are we doing? Maybe still a bit flat. Oh dear. That's awful. Oh, I suppose really subtle. It's not too bad. Hmm. Let's bring some of that dress detail back at the bottom there. Distance from subject and the light source is about 10 feet. Light reflection on subjects would be subtle, as the scene is dark and the light source has less lumens. Yeah, well, there's two different light sources. I feel like this one's a bit closer. That one's definitely further away. I mean, there could even be another light source out of shot that we can't see. But that's just complicating it even more. I think I want to stick with these light sources, the ones we can see. That's the kind of goal, the challenge. Don't George Lucas it. We'll just stop and leave it alone. Nice. Lip color. Yeah, okay. Although I think the lips they are very red. They are quite red. But obviously the lips are being affected by all the other lights in the image. I mean, we could try and darken the background. Maybe that would help. Just darkening it a little bit might kind of bring the two a bit closer together. And also, that bit of banister around the hair, I don't like that. That's kind of looks like some badly retouched hair. So I'm gonna double click that. Let's just try and generative fill that away. I don't know what it will replace it with, but we'll see. We'll see what it does. Generative fill. Just generate anything there. More highlights on the cheek, says Abdallah. Vibrant lips and darker eyeballs. Okay, darker eyeballs. I'll have a look at that. Thanks, James. Okay, that hasn't really helped. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone the stairs. There we go. That's all I need to do. There we go. It was just irritating me a little bit. Yeah, these highlights look a bit rubbish as well. They're not great. I think there we go. They need to just be a bit more subtle. I would go for a blurry effect on the background just to make the depth of field more effective, and color dodge her shoulder to pop it up. I don't know if it works, but every idea counts, I guess. Absolutely. Every idea is more than valid. So what do we got? Eyeballs. Eyeballs. Darker eyeballs. All right, James, let's give it a go. Let's darken up those eyeballs. We'll go with a bit of an S curve. Oh god. Whoa. Yeah, laser eyes. Nice. Wow, I'm not going to sleep. Subtle. Alright, we'll keep it in there for now. Darker eyes. Has Mike been live? I don't think so, no. I don't think I've seen Mike. Why? Um, More highlight on the cheek. Ah, this... Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That should be spilling over a lot more. Um... Oof, that's a bit punchy, I think. I might have overdone that. Yeah, I think I've definitely overdid that then. It's hard. I think I've possibly blown out the lights a bit too much. Mike is great, you're right. Yeah, blurry effect on the background. All right, let's try it. Let's try it. This is a cool technique, actually. I will go with fill blur because the background doesn't have like a solid horizon line. We could do it with tilt shift, but it doesn't. So background. Right. Well, first of all, let's get rid of the subject so I can see what on earth I'm doing. Okay, where's going to be in focus? So first point down here, focus. This is quite close as well. So I'm going to do 3 pixel blur, 3 up there. We'll go 3 up there. This is a bit further back, so we'll go for 5. There we go, 5. 3. Okay, and then we get to the stairs. They're a lot further back, so we're going to go for 10. It's getting further away up the stairs. We'll go for 13. Top of the stairs, we'll go for 20 on the blur. Blur that window, so that's out of focus. Light at the back. Okay. So if that's 10 and the light's behind, the light's got to be a 15 on the blur. Further up the stairs, I'd say 17. Maybe a 17 there as well. So I'm gradually thinking about the scene in a three-dimensional space. 15. There we go. So I've kind of put this in focus. This is a lot more in focus. The stairs gradually blur away, and this kind of blurs out as well. So we've gone from that, with everything in focus, to that. How does that look? Oh, okay. Before, after. I mean, it looks cool. Yeah, that makes a difference. Good shout. Good shout, the people that suggested that. Yeah, I think we've still got. I mean, I could make the hair even more dramatic, I suppose. Subtle. No, it's too. 60's good, I think. So hard. How's Leo doing? Yeah, no, he's good. He was in here earlier doing some stuff. He's done like a yellow cat. I've got to show you later. It's really good. Oh, let's just see how it looks with a camera raw filter. Try not to get carried away and jump to this bit first. Because again, camera raw filter, it shouldn't ever be a fix for bad retouching. You want to get, it needs to like enhance what you've done rather than be like a crutch to lean on, you know? And I say that as someone who does this. I'm guilty of this. So yeah, we could bring up the clarity and maybe a little bit of texture. Vignette. Oh, maybe a vignette might muck up the lighting though. Bit of grain for sure. I love me some grain. Dehaze. Yeah, this is one I got to be careful with. I don't want to play around with that one too much. I should be doing that sort of dehazing effect in my work rather than relying on it here, I think. A little bit too much grain. Yeah, this is cool. Before, after. So it can really literally do that. Clarity is probably one of the most useful ones. Everything can look quite sort of a bit soft, and clarity can really just do just that. It gives it more clarity and a bit more definition. You don't want to crank it too far. I mean, you might want to. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it can look a bit too much. So we'll go for 40. Color mixer. Yeah, this is kind of cool. We could sort of... Personally, I try to get my colors right in the image. But this is like a... You can kind of get some quite nice colors by doing it here. Sharpening. It's another one that can look quite cool. Yeah, I'll go for 40. Subtle. Sharpens the hair a bit. Oh yeah, this is a nice one as well. Because there's a lot of like sort of warm colors that are in the red spectrum in the design. You could kind of fine tune that, make it a bit more pink or a bit more yellow. Again, I try not to do too much of this in here, because then if I carry on working on my design, I've got more filters and camera bits and like stuff in the camera raw filter that will change my design. So I might do a whole bunch of retouching and color correction here now. But then when I paste that into here, like the updated version, the camera raw filter, those color changes might then mess around with this in a way that is unfavorable. Yeah, it's definitely looking better though. Definitely looking better than when well, definitely better than yesterday and definitely better than when it started with that original hair. Excuse me. Goodness. Yeah. Here's the hair. Just this is where we started, right? Before brushing in all that hair, that's before, with Photoshop doing a bad job at cutting it out. Sometimes it's great doing it the lazy way, which is what I did. Sometimes it doesn't work. That's the after. We could even blur the hair a bit more. You could blur it using the, where are you? The blur tool. Just run over the hair to blur it, to make some of them look a bit more realistic. But that is not bad. I'm more than happy with that. And then, of course, it just kind of brings out all the detail a bit more with a camera raw filter. Yeah. Oh, not too bad. And that's cool, because what I can do now is I can have a break from that, come back to it later, or actually go and get reference images. I need some similar images of people with lots of hair, with the light behind them, and then I can study how the light actually interacts with the hair, the shoulders, and the skin tones, and then I can try and take that and improve this even more. But for now, that's all right. I'm happy with that. Oh, all right. Hopefully that was helpful. And hopefully I should be 100% again next week, so we can get back to some some normality and a bit more routine to get the old design review streams and what have you on the go. That would be a lot of fun, because I really, really did miss doing them. It sucks being unwell. So just before I go, if anyone has any questions or you'd like to see me demonstrate something, now's your time. Also, Poppy, we've had comments on the haircut already. I think Rich was here earlier, and he said, you know, it's not. I think what he said something, but it was like to the effect of it's not his favorite haircut. Yeah, I know. A few people noticed. They were like, "Oh, new haircut, Dan." I think, yeah, maybe the fade on the sides might be up a bit high with the sort of length on top. He was very polite about it, though. He did say that in a very polite way. I was like, "Oh, thank you. It's very kind of you." What do you think to this, Pops? What do you think to the hair? That's where I spent like 90% of the stream, probably 80-90% working on the hair. Love it. Excellent. Fantastic. Yeah, I think the skin tones are definitely oh yeah, just like your school friend. Yeah, for anyone who's just joined, I got to show you where I started yesterday, right? So this was kind of like attempt number 1. So that was, as you can see, I did exactly what I said not to do. And added way too many adjustment layers. Totally balls the whole thing up. Then added more adjustment layers to try and fix it. And it just, yeah, it ended up being a bit of a mess. So we've gone from that to that. Which is pretty wild. Hello, I'm new to Photoshop. What would you recommend me? I would recommend a course. I'd recommend doing a course in Photoshop. Udemy or Skillshare are pretty good shouts. I'd love to have a Photoshop course to pitch you, but I don't yet. But I am working on a Photoshop course. So if anyone has watched my Photoshop videos or they like what they see with all of this stuff, then I am doing a Photoshop course, which is pretty exciting. Photoshop was my first love as far as design software goes, and it's probably one of my favorite apps to use. That and Illustrator are my 2 favorites, but yeah, I do love me some Photoshop. But yeah, something that will teach you all the tools and the processes and how to edit photos from the ground up, for sure. And you can do so much in Photoshop. You know, you can edit photos, you can do graphic design, web design, photo manipulation, product mock-ups, and professional retouching and all sorts of stuff. It's like Illustrator, it's just unbelievably versatile. Oh, this is cool. I've had fun doing this. Oh. Right, cool. There's no more questions. I'm going to go and have something to eat. So, yeah, have a fantastic... No, what day is it? Friday. Have a fantastic weekend. Yes, have a fantastic weekend. Thank you to everyone for your help working on this today. It's been amazing. And as you can see, it's definitely helped me get to a slightly more favorable result. And like I say, hopefully next week, all back to normal, more regular streams. So, yeah, have a fantastic weekend and I'll see you next week. Bye.